Hello, everyone. This is Will.
This is Alex.
Welcome back to another episode of They Mostly Come Out of Me. Hello, everyone. We're back.
We back. It's that day.
Let's buzz.
Let's buzz.
Hell yeah. Okay. Anyway, before we get into that, go to your web zones, all your podcasting, streaming sites, all that good stuff.
Like, subscribe, follow.
Like, comment, subscribe, follow. We do recommendations every 5 episodes.
If you got a recommendation, get those in, baby.
We got those coming. We will add them to the list. Let's get all this like business out of the way because I just want to gush about this movie. I just want to go off about this incredible movie that everyone needs to watch.
I just want to drill deep down.
I do too. Deep down good. And I want to buzz and drill.
I just want to get buzzed.
That's all I want to do. And this movie does that in spades. So, with that out of the way, go like, comment, subscribe. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Now let's get to Slumber Massacre 2.
So,
I said that really weirdly. Slumber Party Massacre 2.
Little backstory. Because, this is fascinating to me.
Yes.
Is Slumber Party Massacre was originally written as the first one was originally written as a parody.
Yeah.
And then they made it, but we're just like, make it not a parody. So they just made a straight movie, but it still had parody elements.
Well, and the script was basically unchanged. Is that what you were saying,
unchanged,
right?
yes.
Yeah. Which is why you get, like you were saying, the scene where it's like, oh, the body, she's gone cold. And
what about the pizza?
What about the pizza?
And, people saying things like fork it over shortcake.
Also, quick little disclaimer. If you have not seen Slumber Party Massacre or Slumber Party Massacre 2...
You should watch them.
You should watch both of them. They are very different movies. They're both just such a great ride.
Because we both have seen this movie before this podcast.
Yes.
And the first time I watched it, you're probably the same. I didn't know what to expect because I've seen the first one before. It's amusing, fun movie, and then there's a second one which if you've seen the poster, kind of gives you a certain idea.
If you need a refresher, we did post it on our Instagram and our Facebook, so go check it out on there. I like how the poster's no bullshit. It's
what's in the movie.
It's like, here's the villain, here's the weapon, here are the girls.
Here's some scantily clad women.
Yeah, and that's what you get.
And that's the movie, and you kind of don't know what to expect.
This movie is just okay. Listen, this is just going to be us glazing this movie the entire time. I'm not going to lie to you. If you have not seen Slumber Party Massacre 2, you owe it to yourself. If you like the weird brain, lizard,
I don't even know
shit that we like.
What this is interesting because I don't even know who I would recommend this for.
I don't know if I'd recommend it to a lot of people, but if you do like it, if you do like what we like, you probably will enjoy it. So if you like what we have rated highly on the podcast, you can kind of get an idea of how weird this movie is, but how well put together it is.
I would also say if you like movies that play around with expectations and play around with genres.
Now, okay, here's my real thing. If you like slashers and you happen to like musicals as well,
yes,
I think and I know that's a weird statement, but if you've seen it, you know.
And also, if you do like movies that are a bit self-aware of their genres.
And don't mind being self-aware of how ridiculous their premise is. This is a movie for that.
This is very much that.
This is going to be a gusher. I mean, we're going to just go off because we've both seen this movie. I've seen it multiple times. I love this movie.
This is fantastic.
It is so good. And the villain is so original and so just...
unique.
Insanely unique and insane in the best way possible. I just love this movie. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, no, this is one of those... It's so off the wall, so original, so unique, so different than anything that I've seen, that I have to love it.
I do like how it kind of like steals ideas from like Nightmare on Elm Street and like Friday the 13th and kind of like these like movies where they get premonitions before like the murdering starts happening. But it doesn't make it its whole identity, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make it like a Nightmare on Elm Street ripoff. It doesn't make it like a Friday the 13th ripoff. This is nothing like those movies. No. Not at all. The only reason I bring up like Freddy Krueger and like bring up like Nightmare on Elm Street is because she does have like there's those crazy fucking dream sequences, like the one where she gets like attacked by the headless chicken and it starts like oozing blood all over.
Yeah, and the where her friend who's very image conscious about her zits gets a zit on her face
and it like starts exploding all over her, and it gives me very like Sam Raimi vibes too, where it's like
I would actually, if you wanted to make a comparison for me, is the first film is like The Evil Dead, and this is like The Evil Dead 2.
I guess if we're going with the Sam Raimi,
if we're going with like how the first film is like more serious, down to earth, and the second film is very playful.
That's a good comparison. Yeah. So, yeah, this one does not take itself seriously at all, which is great. Like the basic setup is obviously it's Slumber Party Massacre, so it's just a bunch of women and men go to a slumber party out in like new condos.
They're still under construction, so there's no one there.
So that's the whole premise. I mean, you don't need to know any more than that. But like being stalked by like a rockabilly like apparition that is not explained at all, that kills people with a giant fucking guitar drill. I mean, that's wild, okay? That is wild.
He's on the poster, and that is what you get in the movie.
I just like how there's zero explanation.
Yeah, it's just fun.
Because like the first movie, like you said, was like down to earth, where it's like it's a guy.
It's just a guy.
It's a guy with a giant drill.
A dick.
And that's his whole thing. Yeah, well, yeah. Exactly. And like he just drills people. That's all he does.
It's just a psycho.
And then at the end, he breaks his drill and he gets all upset.
And he's a wet noodle and they kill him.
He gets upsetty spaghetti and they kill him. Because they broke his dick.
Because it's a self-aware.
Yeah. This one,
they crank it up.
They're just like, let's go to 11. Let's Spinal Tap this shit. And we're going to just have the guy be like this leather daddy, like rockabilly, like greaser guy with a giant red drill guitar. Because why not?
And he plays music.
It is... No hyperbole here. That is one of the most badass slashers I've ever seen. Because he's not gross at all. He's decked out in leather.
Yeah.
Wears Wayfarer sunglasses.
Talks to the camera.
Smokes cigarettes. Talks to the camera and sings rock songs.
Yeah.
He's badass.
And you know what they're going for.
The design of him is so
out there.
For me, it's out there, but it's so cool. Like
it's great.
The vibes are like immaculate on this guy. Like I've never seen a slasher villain like this.
Especially where it's, a movie like this, where it's not an entire like straight up comedy. Well, it's self-aware. But it's not just like it's not an entire joke movie.
Well, like the craziest thing is like
still die in this
like
and stuff.
He's like a supernatural entity. He's not like he's not a guy. He
appears in like
he's like a fucking demon.
He's a sex demon.
He's a sex rock and roll demon. It's great. Like, how could you not like that? Like, that aesthetic is so cool. Like that for me, for some reason, just the vibes are like all over the place, and I like the best vibes.
Because one of the things is the main girl in this is the sister of the woman from the first movie.
Yeah,
the final girl from the first movie, who is now in an insane asylum, and she has these premonitions.
I love when like the premonition where like her sister, the one from the first movie, is like, "Don't go all the way.
Yeah.
Don't go all the way. Don't have sex."
Because she keeps having these like. Basically like wet dreams of this guy she has a crush on.
And every time she does, this apparition,
rockabilly
this
man
rockabilly,
and you see this drill,
this rockabilly fucking Candyman guy,
and this drill appears from the camera, just drilling downward, and it's her sister like hiding from this guy and saying like, "Don't go all the way, don't go all the way," and you know what they're doing.
Well, like, she'll get premonitions of what's going to happen. So, like, she sees, for instance, like, a bathtub bubbling over with blood, and that happens. Like
a dead bird on the sidewalk.
Yeah, which happens. And she sees, like, her friends getting drilled, which happens more in the movie. We'll get to the deaths, but it's kind of crazy how there's so much, like, setup.
Yeah.
And it's such a short movie. But, like, that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
There's so much setup, and these premonitions are so insane that when they get to the murder, like the mayhem, the massacre, it happens so quick, but it's so great.
Because
like,
even before you get to that point, they tease you.
Yeah.
And you have all these visions of him with like this empty like asylum room and him just dancing with his guitar and him just talking in rock lyrics.
Yeah, he's like, rock and roll will never die.
Love the one you're with.
He, at one point, he even says, like, before he dies, he says, like, come on, baby, light my fire. I love it. I think it's great. I can get how some people would think it's very cheesy and corny.
Out there.
I love how out there it is. I love how unique this movie is.
Because you're not
expecting this. I mean, you watch the first one, and then you're like, okay, cool. The second one's probably just, like, your straightforward, like, slasher film.
Another drill guy.
Yeah. Which you would be right.
It is a drill guy.
But the drill is attached to a giant red flame, like red demon guitar.
And, you know, because he is manifested by her trying to go all the way.
Sexual desires, yes.
Which is why I'm saying, like, there is that, it's like a self-aware movie, but it's not an overt parody. Because, I mean, people do die in this, and it's not like overtly jokey, but if you know, you know.
So let's see. Premonitions, we got the bathtub we already talked about. We talked about the chicken one. We talked about the dove one.
That's the first one, yeah.
Yeah. There's what other?
There's like the one of like a sister hiding under the bed.
And him like dancing around her and shimmy shaking all over her while like playing the guitar.
There's like the one of him.
I love the premonitions of him just silhouetted like power stancing on the sister's like bed, just like sliding the guitar back and forth and like wailing on it and stuff.
And there's like there's lots of moments of just her having trying to have a good time and party.
Sorry.
And, weird things happen, which culminates in one of my favorite lines at one point in the movie. When they're all eating.
They're all eating, like, burgers.
And she has a burger, she picks it up, and instead of the beef patty, it's just a human hand. And, like, the thing is just soaked in blood. And she tosses it and screams, and they're like, what's going on? And she's just, my burger's weird. Which
there's so many great.
I mean, yeah.
There's so many like great things to love about this movie because it's so.
Well, they clue you in because so many scenes in the movie have a musical instrument in the background.
Well, and like the main women are in a band.
They're in a little band.
They're practicing in like at this place and. I do love the scene where they just watch Rock and Roll High School, and the first scene they dance to the song and just start doing a pillow fight and getting like naked.
Yes,
for no reason.
And pouring
and I love when the guys come up and they're just like, man, is this what like women?
Is this heaven?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, he's like, I didn't know girls actually do this.
Yeah, I didn't know girls actually did this
in real life.
And he's like, I think
we're dead. And
we're dead. This is just heaven.
Yeah, there's two scenes. There's two scenes of them in the band performing songs in full, mind you. There's tons of scenes of like
them like singing along to music and
where they're in the car just driving. And like I said, there's multiple scenes where there's instruments like in the background and stuff. So
yeah, it's very like music centered,
which should clue you into the scene that either makes it or breaks it.
We'll get to that scene. I don't want to spoil that quite yet. We're not going to blow the. That's my favorite scene.
That's the scene.
It's the best scene. It is the scene in the movie.
Scene that makes it.
And if you've seen it, you know exactly which scene we're talking about. We will get to that scene in just a minute. I do want to say, like, I do like how. And again, this is just us rambling about this movie because it's good. It's a 10 out of 10. We're not even going to do a shitty to pretty. It's a 10 out. I fucking love this movie. I do love how it, like, when you first watch it, and before I say this, like, please just go watch this movie. I do love how it kind of, like, when you're first watching it, you don't... It's so good at, like, making you think that all these are just, like not happening, right?
Yeah.
And so when the first murder does happen, you think it's another dream, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're kind of like, oh, this is just another dream.
Because they did...
well, because they do it so...
She sees it in a premonition.
Right.
The drill coming out of the chest.
Right. Well, they do it so much... They do the premonition so much that you're like... Her reality is, like, not exactly...
Plus, they fake you out.
Yeah, they fake you out a lot.
Well, specifically... there's the scene where she's where we said she's taking a bath and she sees the bathtub like bubbling with blood and like blood's coming out of the drain and everything, and she screams and yells for her friend to come up. And earlier in the movie she's like saying, you know, I'm having like a really bad time and I'm having all these bad
because she
dreams.
had that chicken premonition and she throws the chicken on the ground and they pick up the chicken, so like
but she's telling her friend like I'm having a bad time and like I'm really stressed, and her friend's just like, yeah, you know, I can relate. Like, look at me. I have, like, all these pimples. And she's like, I don't see any pimples. I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, trust me. They're there. They're just there under my skin. And she tells her later on, like, hey, like, come look at this bathtub. She looks at it and it's just fine. It's fine. But she's talking to her, and now she has, like, pimple patches all over her face. And then she's looking at her, and her friend's just, like, trying to calm her down, and she looks at her, and she has, like, a gigantic pimple.
And then it gets bigger.
And then it gets even bigger. And then it, like, explodes, and it's, like, half of her face just with, like, yellow pus. And she screams and runs away. And then her friend's gone.
Yeah.
Like, they're just, like... And one of the guys even says, like, I bet she just went down to the store to buy some liquor.
Well, and they also make you think that, like, maybe she's not insane because she has these premonitions, and then they'll find, like, the chicken on the floor, or they'll find the bathtub overflowing, or they'll find...
She did see, like, she saw the dead bird on the sidewalk.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, her reality is not completely broken, but you're not sure what's real and what's not. And so when the first death does happen by this, like, rockabilly demon...
Because they fake you out where...
Well, because they make you think it's another dream sequence.
The friend's missing... And then they call the cops, and the cops' names are Officer Kruger and Officer Voorhees.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And they're just like, you know, like, they're not taking her seriously. And then the friend... But everyone else is like, they don't know where the friend is. And then she shows up. She was at the store buying liquor.
Yeah.
Just like the guy said. And then they're like, you wasted $200 of taxpayer money.
Well, this is a good foreshadowing, too, because when they call the cops later, when people actually start dying, the police don't believe them. They're like... It's just a prank. Like, we're not going to go out there again. And it's like, God damn it.
But they fake you out because you're thinking, like, oh, she actually died.
Yeah.
She didn't. Everything's fine. But right after this...
They're, like, her and the boyfriend are laying in bed.
Because it's her birthday, too.
Yep. He brings her a cake. And she's about to blow out the candles, he gets a drill through his fucking chest.
Well, they're like, they're kissing and everything. And, you know, she's still, like, stressed out. But then, just like a premonition she had earlier, you hear...
Well, and at this point, you think, like, maybe this is another dream, right? Yeah. But absolutely not. This is actually, like, happening.
Because she runs downstairs to her friends.
Like, the demon grabs, like...
Yeah, she's like... She yells at him like, it's a dream, it's a dream.
Grabs his arm and was like, does this look like a dream to you? And, like, throws the arm on the cake, and it explodes. And then... She goes downstairs and she has the blood still on her. Blood, so she's not, like, dreaming this time. And they're like, what the hell is going on?
And then he shows up.
And then he starts, like, trying to drill all the friends.
And then she basically manifested him by wanting to get drilled, Will.
Wouldn't it be... Okay. I'm gonna put out a wild statement.
Oh, no.
Wouldn't it be crazy if there was like a crossover between this movie and It Follows?
This is
the It Follows of the 80s.
Of rockabilly music.
Yes. So if you listen to lots of like metal or like rock and roll and you want to have sex, this is the kind of demon this
is what you'll spawn.
This is what this is the demon you'll spawn.
You have internal sexual trauma.
Yeah.
This is what happens. Your trauma manifests itself as a rockabilly demon man.
I mean, listen,
Listen,
for a lot of people, that'd be great.
I think it's fucking hilarious.
This attractive, like smoking like a chimney rockabilly guy decked out in leather with like the coolest guitar you've ever seen that has a drill bit at the end of it.
The thing that's great is, he's not on screen for that much.
No, he's really not. But he makes a big impact.
Yeah, like that's the best thing is like the scenery is being chewed.
Like, I don't know. This guy has probably been in like almost nothing else.
I'm not kidding. He has 2 other credits.
He does so goddamn well as this demon. That's all I can call him, is a demon. I mean, like,
it's basically what he is. I mean,
he's like a rock and roll demon.
There's no reality is not tethered with him in this, and that's.
Well, that's fine. I love how they just like were like, yeah, let's just go balls to the wall and have
let's just play with it.
A fucking demon instead of a real guy drilling people.
And then becomes a real guy.
Yeah. I guess.
Sure.
Anyway,
people die.
So he drills the friend, like the 2 friends, and like drills one of their legs. And I love that scene when they're trying to go through the neighborhood, and like they start knocking on that like the one person that's there.
Yeah.
And they try knocking on his door, and the demon comes and like kills the one kid at the garage.
Drills his chest.
And the guy finally comes out, and he's like, "Goddamn kids!" and then slams the door.
He slams the door as she runs away. And should we talk about it? Well,
not yet. Let's get to the other deaths real quick, because this is we need to lead up to the big death,
the big scene.
So, because remember.
The car?
Where they're driving away, and he comes up and he has, again, demon, because he has a fucking flower in his ear.
He has a rose in his ear.
And he's like, death, what does he say, like, to my love eternal or something like that?
Some fucking crazy
like,
shit.
I dedicate this to my, like, love eternal or some, like, shit like that. Like, just some crazy shit.
Because they're driving away and you're like...
Like... No one got in the back seat. You know what's going to happen.
Something's going to happen.
And of course, he comes up with a flower in his hair.
Just out of the back seat,
and
says some nonsense.
Says some like romantic, like rock and roll nonsense.
And then drills
into the guy. And then they
run away
back to the house. And so they have barricaded themselves in this. So now all the dudes are dead.
Mm-hmm.
There's just 3 women left. Now we can finally talk about it, because... They've barricaded, so the main chick and her, like, the drummer,
yes,
have, like, barricaded themselves in the room, right? And the last one is, like, her boyfriend just died on the garage. He's the one that got drilled on the garage and had his leg drilled open.
Yes.
And she's running back to the house.
She runs back to the house.
And so she's, like, bleeding, like, profusely because he scraped her with the drill.
Her arm is, like, cut open.
Yeah, and she, like, because she climbs up the stairs and, like, gets to the door, and she's trying to open it, right? And she's like, it's me. Yeah. And they're, like, trying to move the dresser away, but it's really heavy, apparently.
Yeah.
And what does this demon do? This is the best scene in this is the scene
that either makes or breaks the movie.
You will either love this scene, right?
Or you'll be like, what the fuck?
Or you'll be like, why the fuck am I watching this?
You'll be like, what the fuck is going on?
What the fuck actually happened here?
Yeah.
So the demon literally looks right at the audience.
It says, now it's time for the fun part.
Yes. And puts on his sunglasses and starts singing a song.
We get a full blown, because there's been music in the movie, right?
It's like a blues rock anthem called, like,
Let's Buzz.
I don't know if it's called Let's Buzz. I don't know what it's called.
Sure
I don't know what it's called, but It doesn't matter because he is vibing.
And because the movies had musical scenes before this, but they've been like they're performing, they're singing their in universe songs.
This is an actual musical number.
He flips a light switch, and because the room is just like lit in normal lighting, and then he flips the light switch, and it goes all pink and purple and green. And
he starts like singing on microphones and like
starts dancing, and it's like you get a full blown musical
choreographed dancing,
singing, guitar playing, musical number.
He's like imitating playing the keys when the blues keys are being played. It's like this whole blues rock anthem to death.
Yes.
And he slowly starts making his way up. It is incredible.
Oh my god!
Because as he's singing, he's like dancing and vibing.
He's fucking twerking at her.
He does twerk at her.
Yes,
he does twerk at her, and he shimmies his ass towards her.
He shimmies his ass. He like shakes his crotch.
He thrusts the guitar while it's on his pelvis at her.
By a woman.
Yeah. He like thrusts his guitar with.
My favorite is there's like these point of view shots of just him like.
I love how because the drill looks fucking massive in the fucking POV shot.
It's just a drill pointing at her like a giant dick.
And she's like screaming, and they're like, "Oh no, he's out there!" So they barricade the door again, and they just like sentence their fucking friend to death.
They're like, because they hear the fucking drill.
They're like, he's out there, so they just re-barricade the door.
Oh my god.
And she's like screaming as he's like shaking his ass and fucking shimmy shaking all over her while dancing and singing.
And then he drills her.
And he finally fucking drills her as like fucking bits of her flesh go fucking flying everywhere. And then the song ends.
And he blows on the tip of the fucking guitar drill like it's a gun.
And the song ends.
Yeah.
But don't you worry about the musical numbers.
Oh my god.
Because it's not a musical number, but they start up again with this very... So the women get out of the fucking...
They climb out the window, yeah.
And they go to this like... Because it's like still under construction, so they go to this...
This is a great set.
Yeah. They go to this like under construction house.
It's like a maze.
For no reason other than vibes...
Yes.
And a very upbeat blues rock song starts playing.
He tries to drill at them, and then he's like, I can't get no
satisfaction.
And then the fucking another like super upbeat, happy rockabilly song.
I do love when right before this, when they're running away, he's just like they blast this fucking spotlight at him in his shadow, and he's just like power stancing and fucking laughing maniacally while he's just like looking like a total badass.
And then they start running through this like under construction house, and there's all these shots of like them like ducking under like like sheetrock.
And every once in a while he'll appear and like swing his like guitar at them.
Like drills coming in from off the camera, offside.
And they're all screaming while this upbeat like.
And you see him like dancing and.
He's vibing to the music. He's not singing along this time. This is not a musical number.
No, but it might as well be because he's still like dancing and stuff.
And then I love there's that one scene where they finally get upstairs and the music goes like somber for just for I'm not shit you not like 30 seconds.
Well, because it's just you see him like walking around
when like the music goes like kind of like quiet and like that horror music like tension starts coming in.
Some blood drips on his cheek. And he like looks at it and licks it, and then he looks up, and you see that they're sitting there, and it's quiet, totally quiet.
Well, and they are playing this like kind of eerie, tense music now.
And then he drills the drill through the floor where they're sitting. Immediately starts back up.
Fucking blues music starts back up, and they start running away again.
And then at some point, like one of the women falls over the edge. And
she trips on like the tiniest little tiny piece of wood.
She trips on a tiny piece of wood, and the main girl's like holding her up, and he just comes out of nowhere.
And he swipes at her, and the friend like falls and dies.
And then she runs back upstairs, and the music again, it's still going, still fucking going. And she's next to this like gas.
A
blowtorch. And he's there like teasing her. Oh, there's another scene where she's like crying, And then again, the music's all somber and quiet. And then she's crying, and it's her in focus, and you just see in the background.
You see his giant guitar.
A giant red object in the background.
And you see he's just like smoking and like just watching her. Like,
she broke my heart. She had to die. And then immediately
the fucking music starts back up. They go on the roof. She gets the blowtorch, and this is when he's like, come on, baby.
Light my fire.
Light my fire.
And she lights him on fire. And
he turns into like a torch skeleton.
He turns into a giant torched mannequin, flies off the roof, and you don't even get room to breathe with this, because it's immediately her friend being pulled into a stretcher, and then she goes over to the stretcher.
All it shows is like sunrise. That's the
only,
like
2 seconds.
That's the only reprieve you get.
2 seconds, yeah.
2 seconds of sunrise.
And she pulls over the cover, and her friend's like eyes are closed. She opens her eyes, and it's his laugh coming out, and then it's her, and it's like a very pristine, nice bedroom, and it's her with her boyfriend that she has had a crush on, and then they play like the nice romantic music, and she goes and kisses him, and she's kissing him, and then you see his hand like go to like.
And you see it's the fingerless leather
gloves.
And you know instantly who it is.
And then you see it's him. And then it's like her in an asylum, just like her sister, freaking out. And then it's fucking like...
It's like it's a weird juxtaposition. So they did this thing where they have miniatures in the background. Mm-hmm. And then in the foreground, it's like a normal sized chair.
Yeah.
And just the wood.
And it's like it's like that fucking, if you ever, that movie, like The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari? Because it's like this,
it's like this forced perspective,
it's like this
weird,
like just surreal shaped room, and a gigantic drill just comes out of the floor, and cut the credits.
Bro. This movie.
There's so much to say. Like, I also love how, because again, it's a film written, directed by a woman. I love that most of the men, other than like the guy she has a crush on, are written as the most...
Oh, they're dumb. They don't believe her at any like...
caveman brained...
Well, they see this woman going, like, being all distraught and being, like, super, like, emotional and very clearly going through something. And they're just like, oh, you're ruining my weekend.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be getting laid. And he's getting laid, like, every other fucking second.
Every other second he's getting laid.
Like, by this woman. And he's, like, they have this, like, running joke where they have, like, one of the women's brother, they find, like, this perverted, like... Well, they find a blow up, and then they find this perverted
a book,
this sex book, and they keep reading from it. And he actually, like, one of the guys turns his girlfriend on by, like, reading it.
Well, there's even, like, he reads it out loud, and like, there's references to, like, drill. Them being, they're like, and then she saw his massive drill bits, and, like, there's just...
He's like, you're turned on now?
She's like, no, keep going. And then he reads another sentence, and she's like, okay.
And then they go have sex.
And they have loud sex, and the main character, like, there's, like, multiple running jokes of her, like, hearing them go for it.
Yeah.
And she's like, you just hear her, like, faintly saying, like, oh, you're the best. And he's like, I know.
I like how one of the friends says, like, the more they do it, the louder they get.
Yeah.
Practice makes perfect.
Like, there's no wild. The only guy in the movie who's not a meme is the main character's, like, crush.
Yeah.
Every other guy is a total meme.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's, like, that boyfriend, there's his friend.
Even the cops are dumb as hell.
Cops. Those are the only guys in the movie, by the way, other than the killer. That's it. There's no other men in the movie. It's just, there's so much to say about this thing.
Like, I don't know, like
the weird, like, I don't even know what you call it, but whenever she has those premonitions, they use a lot of it's like a weird, like, almost like a fisheye lens effect.
Well, because they make you feel like kind of like paranoid.
Because there's a part where she's like in the car, and it does this like panning shot of all the friends.
Yeah, but it's at a weird like angle.
It looks surreal, and they're all like looking at the camera. And then, you know, when she's in the car, she has that exact identical shot. And, you know, as they're playing like rockabilly music over it.
Dude, I don't know. Like, this movie is just pure vibes. Like, like, I know that's like cliche that we say that a lot, but like, this movie just like, it's just so cool. I don't know. Like, there's just a lot to like here if you're into this kind of thing.
Plus, and I know for some people this is a negative, but for me the whole movie kind of works to where it's not a negative at all, because this movie is not scary.
Oh God, no, not at all. I would not say this is scary at all.
This is very low stakes.
I would argue it's a fun movie.
Yeah, it's very low stakes. There's no, like, you're not going to experience any stress watching this. You're not
like white knuckling it through like the tense scenes or anything.
You are watching this for fun.
Yeah.
And if you are on the wavelength, because like I said, once you get to that musical number, you will either get it, or you'll be like, what the fuck? What the fuck is happening? Why is there a musical number in my slasher movie?
Why is he addressing the audience and saying
he's literally talking to the audience? Because for me, I'll be honest. First time I watched this, I was enjoying it even before that scene.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, me too.
But that scene, when that scene happened, I was like, I love this.
Well, okay, name another slasher musical.
Well, that's the thing about this movie is it's not a parody.
Well, no, it's not like a comedy.
It's
almost there, but it's
riding that line.
It's not a comedy because they play it so earnestly.
It is very earnest. What it is camp, though.
It is very campy.
And camp is a little trickier because camp is something you can play straight, but if you are a goon,
I think like whoever
us,
like for some reason, it's the right kind of camp. Like they understood the assignment, right? They understood what camp means. Like, this is a campy movie through and through in like the best way possible.
Once you see the killer, if you are a camp connoisseur, you will understand
also
what they're doing.
I'm sorry, for me, aesthetically, this movie just is fucking cool.
Oh yeah.
It just looks so cool. Everything about it, the aesthetics are so good in this movie.
Well, it's so, I mean, adding to the low stakes, the whole movie is so like colorful and jokey, and it's there's so many scenes of like the girls just hanging out and like laughing and joking around. Like, it's so low stakes. There's no, like, you feel zero stress watching this thing.
Oh yeah.
Which I get for some people is a negative. But for me, it only adds to the entertainment I get out of this.
I think there's room in horror for this kind of movie and for something like super scary, right?
Yeah, something just super serious, super scary.
Yeah, like very dark, very like edgy and like horrific. And then there's room for movies like this that like kind of like, hey, we're not going to do that. We're going to have...
They're having fun.
A rock and roll slasher where he drills people with a giant guitar.
Which is also what I love is, yeah, it's super casual, super low stakes, but it's not a parody. It's still R-rated.
I would argue it's very well done.
Yeah, it's very well done. It's R-rated. People die. They die for real. It's bloody. So it still is a slasher.
Well, it's bloody. It's gross.
Yeah.
There's a shit ton of blood, like you said.
It has, it has the nudity, has the sex, has the gore.
Well, and it's quick and it's concise and it's
an hour and 15 minutes.
It just gets to the point.
Yeah.
They don't waste your fucking time.
And even
like a slasher should not waste your time, and this does not.
And that's the other thing that's funny is like it's almost like a monster movie where they hide the monster, right? Because in this you get little quick flashes of the driller killer early on, and then at like the 50 minute mark, which is funny because that's more than halfway through the fucking movie, they reveal him in full, like a monster movie. But tease you.
But unlike a monster movie, he comes out in full form to a musical number.
Yeah, that's really like.
I've never seen that ever.
You know, she's going to have sex, and then he drills through the guy, and then that's it. She manifests him. She manifests him through the power of wanting to get laid.
Don't go all the way.
She was warned. Don't go all the way.
She almost went all the way and manifested him.
And that's what I love. It's playful.
I do love how they never explain that.
No, and you know what?
You just piece it together.
And again, I'm sure for some people that's a negative. For me, I love how this plays with the tropes. Like, I love how much this plays with the tropes of the genre.
Same.
Because it's not a parody, but it's having fun with it.
I would argue it's close to getting parody, but like thankfully
it's writing that line.
It's tap dancing on that parody comedy line.
It's dancing.
Yeah, it's dancing. It's It's rock and roll dancing. It's twerking on that line of being a parody and being too comedic, right?
But it's not.
But it never crosses into that. It never does it, and that's what I love about this movie. It plays it so fucking close to being like, okay, this is almost too ridiculous. This is almost too unbelievable. This is almost too there, but it never quite reaches that line to where it gets like so unwatchable. It's like so ridiculous that it's like completely unwatchable.
Yeah.
And I love that they rode that line. It's so good to like see a movie just like barely like come close to being like, this is almost too much. It's
almost a complete joke.
It's almost too much. It's almost hee-haw, but it's not there.
But there's not.
And I love it.
There's no hee-haw. That's the real thing.
That's another thing. It's too like the demon never like he speaks in rock and roll bullshit, which you can say is goofy, but it's never played as a goofy thing.
Well, plus it's like it's so like out there because you know, the other characters never reference it.
No, they never even mention it.
No one, no one in this movie ever says like the main character never says, "Oh, I keep having these nightmares of like a rock and roll demon."
She never even mentions.
She just says it's a guy. It's just a weird guy. That's all she says. That's all. That's the only description she uses of him is it's just a weird guy. That's it. So no one else like really comments on that. It's like it's there for our
What's hilarious
joy.
is none of them even joke about how he looks after he like appears.
Oh no.
No one even mentions the fact that he's just like this leather bound like
he has a guitar.
No one even mentions it. Zero people mention it. They want to get away from someone that's trying to kill them. They don't care what the murder weapon is.
They don't care that it's a gigantic red
no one ever
guitar.
Yeah, and like you know, in a comedy, they might make a joke about the weapon, right?
Yeah.
They might make a joke about like how he's dressed.
If it was a hee-haw movie, they'd be like, "Wow, why is he dressed like that?" Like, but in this, they're not playing it for hee-haw. So
or if it was like a parody, they'd be like, "Oh, I bet the guitar is a metaphor for his dick," you know, like something like a joke like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but it doesn't get there. It never crosses that line, and that's why it's so good because they understood camp. Because camp,
what they were doing.
Because camp is like that. It never quite gets there. It's just silly and goofy enough to be like an earnestly made
it's sincere,
movie
yeah.
where it doesn't like bullshit you around.
Yeah, that's the thing. Camp is sincere.
It is.
It's sincere in its intentions, and this just like this movie.
Because I would argue that like camp is not always intentional. I think intentional camp are some of the worst camp movies. Like, for instance, and I know this is a hot take, and I hope I don't offend people here.
Oh, no.
But for instance, Trauma. Let's mention Trauma, okay? Let's just get this over with.
We've commented on this before, but yeah.
Like, Trauma, I think, goes too far into the trying way too hard to be camp.
It is a bit try-hard, yeah.
It's like, it's trying too hard to be campy and too hard to be, like, goofy and silly.
Goofy on purpose, yeah.
And I get that people love Trauma movies. I'm not trying to dog on you for liking Trauma movies. I just think they take it to such a ridiculous level that I don't enjoy the movies.
Yeah, no, we are. I mean, I'm aware we, as far as... connoisseurs of nonsense films, we are in the minority. But yeah, Trauma's always been a bit too try-hard for me. This, stuff like this, where the intentions and the vibe is almost a lot more, like, wishy-washy for most people. For me, this is my kind of jam.
I'm sorry, this movie is too cool to be compared to a Trauma movie.
Also, this movie is way too cool.
This movie just oozes cool.
It's a little too well done.
Yeah.
A little too confident, I would say. Yeah. That's the thing about this movie.
Well, it's not try hard.
You watch this movie and you're like, okay, the people who made this knew what they were going for.
Yeah.
Sometimes girls just want to have fun, Will.
It's true. And they want to be in a band.
They want to be in a band and they want to make... And sometimes girlies need their own slasher.
This is a slasher for the girlies. I think
it
everyone
literally is.
I think everyone will enjoy it, but literally the main characters are all women.
Well, it's written and directed by a woman.
Yeah.
The first one was also written and directed by women.
These are slashers for the girlies.
It is. They are like the only slasher franchise like that. And there is a lot of self-awareness. There's in the beginning of the movie, there's some very amusing they're like, I don't even know. They're almost like beauty shots of like the main girl's like crush of him like
playing football and shit.
Well, playing football and like looking, eyes directly into the camera. I also love the interior decorating on his room, where it's just him on his bed
just
naked.
Football.
And it's just a poster that says football. There's another poster that says like, I don't even remember. It's like a car, like a fast car or something. It's just, you know what they're doing.
Like a naked woman on his...
No, because he's the wholesome one, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. Because he just likes sports.
He likes sports, and he's not a pervert like the other two dudes.
Exactly.
Okay? But that's the thing is, like, I know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's funny. For me, I love it.
He's the heartthrob.
Yeah, he's the wholesome heartthrob, right? Yeah. He's not a perverted. He's the only one who cares about her. And, but she almost went all the way. Well,
don't go all the way. That's all you gotta know.
And that's why it's fun. Because they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
It's such a good movie. It's such a good, campy, fun movie to watch with, like, friends and stuff. If you've seen this and your friend hasn't, please show them. Because if they like this kind of, like, weird, like, very obscure slasher movies, like...
And I love that this is getting its due recognition.
Yes.
I love it.
Because for a long time, it was very underrated.
And, it's funny because when you look this movie up online and you look up, like, ratings of people, like, I love how many, I guess it's fitting, because a lot of the people who are, like, cult fans of this are women, fitting. But I do love that this is getting its recognition, and I think it's only going to get more of it because it's so unique.
Yeah.
It's so unique and so, like, easy to watch and have fun, because I love slashers, but, most slashers are serious, and they are, even though they're entertaining, there is that certain thing of, like, oh, all these people die horrible deaths, and it's, like, serious, and it's kind of, like, dark, right? But then there's this.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, people die horrible deaths, but it's fun.
Yeah.
There's no stress with this movie. Like,
it's just fun. It's a ride. It's an hour and 15 minutes. You're not going to waste your time.
There's nudity, there's blood, there's blow-up dolls, there's dudes being perverts,
there's a rockabilly guitar demon,
multiple songs. There's girls having fun and eating corn dogs and Cheese Whiz, and it's just fun.
It's just a fun movie. It's just a fun slasher movie. Like, get over yourself. Go watch it. It's fun. Not everything needs to be
unwind.
that serious.
It's not that serious, bro.
Just
Sometimes girls just want to have fun
sometimes people just want to have fun watching a slasher movie.
and have a rockabilly leather demon who manifests as a real person, and he drills people
Exactly. That's all you need.
and he twerks to the camera.
And I know Halloween just ended. I hope everyone had a good Halloween.
Yeah,
But I will say this, 100% new Halloween outfit inspo. I'm going to dress as the Driller Killer next year.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things where, I'm sorry, but he looks so cool. Whoever was involved with designing this and doing the costume design and the design on the guitar, thank you.
The guitar looks awesome. Let's just talk about that. The prop,
The fact that it's
with an operable drill at the end of it, it looks so cool.
Because that's the thing. When I first saw this movie, I saw the poster. The first thing I saw was the poster. And you see that poster.
And you're like, there's no way.
Okay, well, that poster is really cool. It fits my aesthetic. But there's that thing with movies where they have the poster, and the poster is bullshit. Or the poster looks way cooler than the actual movie.
We've seen so many times where they put a weapon on the poster that they never use.
Or some character on the poster where it's like he's in the movie, but in the movie it's like dollar store version of what you got on the poster.
I mean, I guess we can't say that with Miami Connection. Everything on the poster was in the movie.
Even the character opening the letter and crying about his daddy was on the poster.
Exactly. It is. It really was.
But in this, you see that poster and you start watching the movie and you're like, okay, well, maybe that'll be in the movie. But in your head, you're thinking like, okay, well, if he has a guitar drill, it's probably not going to be as cool as the poster. And then you watch the movie and you're like, oh, that's literally the guy.
And that's literally the weapon.
That's literally the weapon. And it is fully operable.
He can play on it and drill people on it.
And it's incredible. It's so cool.
It's such a cool guitar.
It's so... Just everything about it is so cool. Just props to everyone who came up with it, did the costume design, the actor.
Just kudos to everything about this movie. It's such a good movie. Again, we're not even doing a rating because it's such a good movie. Go watch it.
Yeah, no, this is
everyone needs to go see this movie. If you like slasher movies and you love obscure slasher movies, do yourself a favor and go watch this.
Yeah,
please. And if you like camp, holy crap.
What
are you doing?
Yeah, if you're like us and you are someone who loves good camp, just like you love good cheese, this is something you have to watch.
Yeah, you owe it to yourself.
If you want to support, your women, your female filmmakers, you should watch this.
Yes.
If you
female filmmakers and female-driven stories and
you want to support that, you should definitely watch this. If
all
you want
for it.
If you love rockabilly, rock and roll, leather, all that shit, you should watch this.
If you like 80s rock and roll and 80s blues rock and 80s anything
if you want
that, go watch it.
If you want to watch if you want to support sequels that do weird, batshit insane genre changes, you should watch this.
You should just watch it, in general.
Just in general, because I think I don't know. You could be like us, because again, when I first watched this, you're probably the same way. I didn't go into this expecting to love it. I was just like, okay.
Well, I got a
cool poster.
I liked Slumber Party Massacre, but it wasn't the greatest movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was fun, but I mean, we talked about it before we watched the movie. I enjoy this even more than the first one. I would
definitely argue this is way better
because I do like the first one. It's fun. I dig the perspective, but this is so much more insane and goofy. I like this even more.
Yes, this one's better. Definitely better.
The fact that, because in the first one, it's fun, but it's a psycho with a drill.
Yeah.
Cool. It's fun. The drill is metaphor for penis. Cool. Fun.
Yeah.
And this drill is metaphor for penis, but he talks to the camera and is a rock and roll guy.
Yeah.
Better.
Awesome. Just go watch it. It demands your attention. I think that's pretty much all we have to say. We've gushed about it for about an hour. Slumber Party Massacre 2. Just go watch it.
Let's buzz, Will.
Let's buzz. We're gonna go buzz. All right, and I'm gonna start putting that costume together.
It's time.
Immediately.
You got a whole year.
I got a whole fucking year to do it. All right. Happy Halloween, everyone. For They Mostly Come Out at Night. This has been Will.
It's been Alex.
And we will talk to you all later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Love the one you're with.
Let's buzz. Come on, baby. Light my fire.